Chelsea 2, Brentford 0. Liam Rosenior's third game in charge, and so far 3 reasonably expected results. So does that mean progression? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stanford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, fortunately, we get to talk about a Premier League win, 3 points in the bag, much needed, especially when you consider the other results that are happening today. There are positives today, like Liverpool dropping points to Burnley, and obviously Man United beating Man City to kind of climb into 4th place. So there is opportunity created today, but there's also new barriers that are being put in front of us. We've got a really winnable run of fixtures in front of us, especially in the Premier League. So it's really important that we keep this kind of momentum going. But guys, before we get into the video, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing this video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so This was not a really easy game to watch, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, props to Brentford, because Brentford are having a great season. Do you know what I mean? When you consider the players they lost, obviously they lost their manager and appointed their set-piece coach as an interim, who's still there, by the way. And I think going into this weekend, they were 5th. Do you know what I mean? So they're having a really good season, and we've been coming off, obviously, a terrible run of form. And this is really Rosenior's first kind of go at playing with a nearly full-strength team. That's a nearly full strength because we've got a lot of players back, but there's a few players we'll get into today that still don't look quite to their best. So here's a little look at the formation and the ratings from SofaScore for each player today. So obviously we started with Robert Sanchez in goal, who out the gate had a much better game, and it was quite, it was there for everyone to see. We weren't just playing out from the back, short passing, distribution this, distribution that. Robert Sanchez was allowed to play a lot more of his normal game today, and he obviously really benefited from it. So it might not be the ideal way that Rosenior wants to play to get, you know, the team ultimately playing the way that he wants, but for right now, like, we've got to win all these games, man. Do you know what I mean? We've got to win as many games as possible in this upcoming run of fixtures, and allowing Rob Sanchez to play his best game is going to be a really important part of that, because Philip Jorgensen isn't exactly an able deputy. Right back, Reece James, Trevor Chalobah and Tosin Adarabioyo starting in the centre. Marco Correa at left back, Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo starting in midfield. Garnacho on the left, Cole Palmer in the centre, Pedro Neto on the right, and João Pedro up top. So, couple of standouts for me in terms of just things to talk about, right? So you can see obviously on the graphic, Enzo Fernandez got a 7.5. So ultimately he had a good game. But if I'm honest, for me, there was a lot of worrying signs of Enzo Fernandez today. He lost the ball a lot of times, man. He lost the ball a lot of times. And our midfield, especially in the first half, we were really struggling to build up and get through. It looked like a really open game, man. We had less possession than Brentford for a start, which is really unusual. Do you know what I mean? Brentford not exactly a possession-based team, but we definitely weren't keeping hold of the ball as well as we usually do. Robert Sanchez, like I said, obviously had a standout game. We've got to talk about Cole Palmer. Yes, Cole Palmer has got a 7.3, a green on the SofaScore graphic, but at the same time, he had a really poor game today, man. It was, now, the massive positive we can look at, 90 minutes. He played start to finish. Do you know what I mean? Didn't get subbed, played from start to finish, but he really struggled to get into this game today, man. He's been kind of coming back and been on the pitch every now and again for a little while now. Do you know what I mean? He scored in the Everton game. But today was probably the worst performance I've seen out of him in a while. I'm not 100% sure what that was. Obviously, he missed the last game, or the Arsenal game, because of an injury. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was the Arsenal game. He missed, because he was still struggling with his groin. Maybe that's still holding him back a little bit. I don't know. But he just, loads of mistakes, loads of missed opportunities, and just didn't really look like he was getting involved in the game today. So massive props has to go to João Pedro, who got his goal in the first half. Looked like it was called for offside, but it was on just by a hair, which is absolutely awesome. Fair play to João Pedro. For me, he's one of the players that already instantly just looks better since we've changed the manager out. I think he looked really good in the Arsenal game. I think he looked good today. Not quite as present and as dangerous as we'd like him to be, but that was a banger of a goal he scored, man. A really good goal. Pedro Neto, yeah, okay, he was all right. Garnacho, bit wasteful today, missed an absolute sitter. Oh, mate, and we really needed to put the game to bed. Do you know what I mean? We really needed to put the game to bed. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, man. Like, Tosin wasn't terrible today, apart from the fact that he almost scored a blinding own goal. Literally, what a finish that would have been. And again, that was another reason to give Sanchez his props today. Maybe it was because of the difference in style of play, but he was obviously feeling more confident. He was keeping shots us out all over the place. Brentford had like 15 shots to our 7. Do you know what I mean? So Sanchez really, really good in that respect today. The subs that came on throughout the course of the game: Andre Santos, Wesley Fofana came on for Tosin Adarabioyo, who was injured, didn't look happy. Josh Achiampong, Yoro Hato, and Liam Delap. Liam Delap came on instant impact by winning a penalty, which Cole Palmer put away. So again, Liam Delap's also one of the beneficiaries, which is interesting because I've actually mentioned this before pertaining to Liam Rosenior. He's pretty good with strikers, right? And even though Callum Wilson was in charge, you would have thought that was kind of with the idea that Liam Rosenior kind of already had the job and, might have had some involvement in how the team's been set up since the Fulham game, the Man City game, sorry. But at the same time, we're seeing better performances out of João Pedro. We're seeing better performances out of Liam Delap already. So kind of breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, because I remember earlier in the season, I was like, we've got to go in for a striker in January, man, because our two guys are just absolutely not getting it done at all. But if one thing Liam Rosenior can do is start getting a better tune out of our strikers, that's going to be a good thing. Like I say, the game in general, look, the result, it was, 2-0 is a good result against Brentford, but the manner of in which the game was played was a little bit concerning. I actually think we looked better in the Arsenal game, which is really bizarre when you think about it, because obviously we lost that game and we only got the 2 goals from Garnacho, who came on as a sub. If anything, the game was more consistent today, and I think across the board the players seem to have got better ratings, but there was just something a little bit chaotic and just a bit messy about the game today. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't much in the way of control and domination. It did look like, so the Arsenal game didn't look as much like we've got a brand new manager who's never worked with these players before, but today kind of felt like that. But that aside, we won. Do you know what I mean? That aside, we won. The stats, like I say, were actually quite unusual. Brentford had most of the possession and they had loads of shots. One thing, we can talk about like the team digging in and getting the result and not conceding, and Sanchez having a really good game. That is great, but going to be completely honest with you, luck was definitely on our side today. 100% luck was on our side today. Brentford were missing chances, man. Sitters' chances. There was so many moments where our defence just dissolved and Brentford created these really big opportunities for themselves, and we basically didn't have a response for it, and either Sanchez got in the way or their quality just wasn't there to finish. Do you know what I mean? So like I say, I feel as much as I'm happy with the result, we got off lucky today because Brentford, their strikers didn't turn up with their shooting boots, man. Do you know what I mean? There were so many opportunities where that game easily could have gone 1-1. As soon as the game goes 1-1, the entire thing changes. Do you know what I mean? And obviously it's a really different kind of thing to navigate when because we are second worst in the league. Chelsea are second worst in the league for dropping points from winning positions. I think we dropped 15 points, from winning positions when we've scored the first goal in a game. So that is a bit of a problem with this team, not being able to dig in even when we're in front. So like I say, the positives are we got the result. And honestly, maybe it's going to be like this for a little while, man. Maresca obviously had a lot of time to imprint his idea and his kind of vision and his tactics or whatever. So when we did win, sometimes it looked really good and you could generally see, how the team was playing for each other. This is going to, Liam Rosenior is not reinventing the wheel here. He's not absolutely tearing up the book. Do you know what I mean? Because they do have quite similar styles, but there are obviously some changes he's already making in terms of, we're seeing a little bit of inverted fullback into the midfield, but nowhere near as much and nowhere near as often or as crazy as it was when we're under Enzo Maresca. We're seeing a bit more from the strikers in general, playing more of a strikery role, if you will, rather than being expected to constantly drop deep, drift wide, link up play. We're not seeing it, we're seeing wingers try and cut in a lot more rather than just getting it out to the byline and cross it in. So there's already some changes that have been made, and it's going to take time for Liam Rosenior to imprint his actual style and for the team to start to feel comfortable with it. So at the end of the day, man, it's just one of those like Paphos in the Champions League, and then we've got Crystal Palace, and then we've got Napoli in their yard, which is going to be savage probably, even though they're not having a great time at the moment either. And then we've got West Ham, and that's all the games up until the next Arsenal game, right? And our Premier League fixtures in general, even after that, we've got Wolves, Burnley, Leeds. Do you know what I mean? This is good fixtures for us. We should be able to go on a strong point gaining run, I think. Whether, we probably won't win all of the games, although we should. Do you know what I mean? On paper, we should beat Palace, like we should have beat Brentford, and we did. We should beat Palace, and we hopefully will do. We should beat Wolves. We should beat West Ham. We should beat Leeds. Do you know what I mean? We should be beating all of these teams. And my biggest criticism of Enzo Maresca is that we dropped so many points from teams that we should have beat. Like I say, for me, the first thing that Liam Rosenior had to do when he came in was make sure that we're beating these teams that we should be beating. At the end of the day, it's great to be able to beat these big teams, but when you're not beating the teams you're expected to beat, or you've definitely got the quality in your squad to beat, that's where the problems are. We've got an opportunity to get a lot of points over the next 5 or 6 Premier League fixtures, and hopefully this is the start of something that I've been talking about forever now. It's only been a couple of months, really, when you think about it, because at the start of December, we were in second place in the Premier League and things were looking really good. Consistency, man. Building momentum. This is something that we really, really need to get on right now, and today feels like it could be the beginning of that. I've got a feeling we're not going to get loads of pretty wins. We're not going to see lots of, crazy, excellent goals and passages of play and stuff. It's going to be about digging in and getting the wins, kind of like we did today. We won ugly today, I think, in my personal opinion. It's that even though the players have been playing with each other for a while, there's still going to be unrest. There was a protest outside Stanford Bridge today. I don't know in and around how much that's affected the players ultimately, but there's so much noise, isn't there? As a Chelsea player, like, you are waking up every day and your club is in the news, and it's normally not for good things. So at the end of the day, it's not easy being a Chelsea player at the moment. New manager coming in with a new culture, changing things around. Lots of youngsters getting opportunities as well. And if you are a Caicedo or an Enzo Fernandez who is used to playing almost every single game, whether you're supposedly fit to or not, you are going to be looking at that being like, oh, I'm going to get less game time now. So, is that a thing that's factoring into their head? I'm not 100% sure. But at the end of the day, Charlton was great. Arsenal wasn't great, obviously, because we lost, but at the same time, we stayed in the tie. And bearing in mind we were missing half of our first team, that was a really promising result. This was an ugly win, which I expect to see more of. I'll be happy if we get ugly wins over the next month or so, man, because we need results. That's the most important thing here. We need to get results. We got a result against Brentford today, 2-0. Puts us within 2 points now of 4th place. Man U are probably our biggest issue at the moment. I'd looked at Liverpool's run. Liverpool have got a savage run, man. You could see Liverpool have got to play like Newcastle, and I think they've got Man City coming up. They, in their next run of Premier League fixtures, it is possible that they're going to drop points, and we should 100%, we need to pounce on that. Man United, weirdly, and I even hate admitting this, because to even think that after their last season, do you know what I mean? After their last season, and the fact that, they've only just sacked Amorim, but we're kind of sitting in the same sort of place that they are at the moment, and they look like they're in a better condition to do so. And weirdly, that's because of their lack of success. Do you know what I mean? They have got a lot less games. Now, all Manchester United, they're out of the FA Cup, they are out of the League Cup, they're not in any European competition. All Man United have to worry about for the rest of the season is the Premier League. They get a week every single week before each of their Premier League games to prepare for it, to rest, to work on tactics, to work on togetherness. Liam Rosenior's got to deal with 2 games every week, because we are still in all of the competitions at the moment. We're still in the League Cup. Obviously, Arsenal are next. We're still in the FA Cup. We've got Hull next. We're still in the Champions League. We've got Paphos, and obviously the Premier League. Getting into the Champions League is still the aim. So Liam Rosenior's got a huge job on his plate, man. And Man United, even if their team's not quite as good as ours, they have a favourable, just as far as the Premier League goes, obviously, because it's the only thing that they can, that they're still not competing in, but that they're competing for top 4 for sure. That week and that rest and that, ability to really work with and decide that first team, and, less chance for injury and fitness issues and all that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Man United are kind of now looking like our biggest rival for top 4, ultimately depending on what happens with all of the English clubs that are playing in European competition, because we've still got lots of, we've still got Newcastle, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, I think, are still in the Conference League. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we're in the Champions League. Man City, it is very possible that we get the top 5 in the Premier League get Champions League this year. As soon as we find that out, that is going to be a little bit of, not a huge amount of pressure off, because we still need to get that spot. Do you know what I mean? And as of right now, we're not there at the end of the day. But when you look at how close we are with with Man United and Aston Villa, and then obviously how close the 2 and 3 are between Man City and Aston Villa, and Arsenal are just constantly pulling away at the top. We're not talking about up to second place being available. We're talking about 4th, maybe 4th and 5th being available, which is going to be a real ask for Liam Rosenior and the squad. The Tosin injury is a little bit concerning. It is and it isn't, because at the end of the day, Tosin's been all right, to be honest. Like I say, apart from nearly scoring that own goal today, that was a little bit scary. But Tosin's generally been okay since he came back in. But Jeremy Jackett is being talked about at the moment, 57 million, 20 years old, French defender. We've kind of been there before. We've kind of seen it before. He is having a great season. If the news becomes any more concrete, I've already looked into doing a comparison matrix video between him, Tosin and Badiashile, who is essentially who I think he will be competing with. But it looks like we might need to accelerate that even more if Tosin's going to be out, just because of all the games we got. Wesley Fofana came in at the end of the game and looked pretty good. Do you know what I mean? But Cole Palmer supposedly back to being able to play 90 minutes now. Wesley Fofana is coming on at the end of a game, and he's not just missing a game and playing every other game anymore. So that's a good sign as well. Things are looking tentatively positive, I would like to say. Tentatively positive. I'm not like, 100%, yes, this is it. There's still a lot to see. Like I say, Liam Rosenior, absolutely massive job in front of him. But 2-0 against Brentford. We move. Champions League. Paphos come to Stanford Bridge. That needs to be a free hit. This is their first time ever in the Champions League. We've definitely got the squad to beat them, and we shouldn't make it look difficult like we did against Atalanta either. And ultimately, like I say, even though it's not a Premier League game, we need to win against Paphos, because we also need to win against Napoli if we've got any chance of finishing in the top 8, which will reduce the amount of games we have in the latter half of the season, because otherwise the congestion is going to be nuts. Right, guys, I'm going to start wrapping it up there. Thank you very much for sticking around until the end of the video. If you did, I will catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.